Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So today, you might have heard of this. We're going to walk through Invoke Your Own model to be able to perform real-time inferencing and activation from Tealium to models that you already have running and deployed in any of your platforms. So my name is Sarah Smith, and I'm a staff solutions consultant engineer here at Tealium. And I will be walking you through a live demo of how you can use Invoke Your Own model for calling for real-time inferencing in Snowflake. But this also extends to any of the other data clouds: Snowflake, Databricks, AWS, BigQuery, Google Cloud Platform, and also Azure. So when you think of Tealium, and especially for AI, I just wanted to set the stage for where this exists within the platform. So Tealium is a real-time customer data active orchestration engine, and we are able to collect, transform, and activate customer data in real time. One of those activations is through being able to send real-time, clean, consented contextual customer data to Invoke and essentially to do real-time inferencing or rescoring with your models. Supporting both machine learning and AI, as well as also being able to trigger any of your agentic or Gen AI workflows as well. So there's a lot of different ways that Tealium works with AI. Today we're going to be focusing on this top left corner, essentially being able to do real-time inferencing, so model rescoring with new in-session contextual data, as well as real-time activation. So being able to use the results of your model to be able to get these predictions or new data or even different Gen AI content back into Tealium to stitch to the visitor profile. And then you can be able to activate both for real-time in mobile app or on your website or even in your contact center experiences, as well as orchestrating those responses and providing a way to measure them throughout the rest of your tech stack. Of course, Tealium also supports being able to ingest those results of your batch inferencing in both a zero copy and also a traditional real-time approach from your data clouds, as well as be able to update the model. So to continue to send the results. So that way, when you have a model and you're running and activating it in production, you're able to continuously measure the results back in the cloud itself. So what is Invoke Your Own model? Invoke Your Own model is a real-time capability where Tealium sends real-time behavioral data to wherever your AI and machine learning models live. So you keep the data governance there in Snowflake, Databricks, AWS, Azure, GCP, and all of the governance that you have and the security settings already provided. In this webinar, we're going to work through how Tealium functions can be a low-code way to essentially act in real time at key points in the customer experience. So whether they produce specific actions like activating a credit card or engaging with zero-party data, you're able to then send that data to your model and have it be rescored, all within real time, within seconds, and really being able to activate this in the moments that matter. So this is it's done in 3 simple steps. First, invoke. So anytime you have a specific engagement event where a customer is interacting on your mobile app or also your website, these can trigger a Tealium function. And Tealium functions are serverless functions that are able to run both synchronously and asynchronously and trigger a API call to your model serving API endpoint. These endpoints can be over anything such as to your specific model serving API endpoint, both private or public links. They can also be through invoking using like a Cortex REST API, or even to define procedures and jobs and notebooks depending on the platform that you use. Step 2, this is what happens in your cloud platform. So this is where the customer data is processed in your own platform against your own AI and machine learning models. This can be both a combination of being able to support different pipelines, multi-step AI and machine learning models, as well as being able to add on Gen AI content, and also be able to support both using LLMs and foundational models, fine-tuned models, and also your traditional machine learning for rescoring. After that happens, essentially the real-time inference, and you get the results back. These are then sent back to Tealium, to our secure Collect API endpoint, and the model results are stitched to the visitor profile and activated both in the moment, in session, as well as also throughout the rest of your tech stack. What this looks like essentially in a diagram before we jump into a live demo is that Tealium is collecting real-time behavioral signals. So this is, as a core platform, Tealium collects from your mobile apps, through our SDKs, especially our new Prism SDK, through your websites, also again with SDKs or our tag management, as well as from IoT and other apps and third-party data sets as well, and offline data, like from your data clouds, your CDWs, and also from CRMs. All of that data gets transformed, enriched, labeled in Tealium as context. So in this example, you can think of Tealium really as that context layer that's collecting data, transforming it, preparing it for use as features into your model. This is all done at real time. So as soon as the visitor qualifies for a specific event, we're going to send it off to your model via the endpoint, and then once again be able to receive the result back to Tealium, where we can activate it forever for both 1,300 different integrations, as well as be able to send a response back for analytics purposes back to your models. So core component. So today I'm going to show you how this works with a mobile demo app, and we're going to start with a Tealium's platform and a data supply chain. Okay. So what you see on the screen right here is one of our demo websites and for Tealium. And this specifically is focused on being able to collect, transform, and activate customer data, simulating a financial website, and as you can see here on the right, a financial mobile app. From here, so essentially what Tealium does is able to collect data from all of these different data sources, retrieve the events, perform inspection, make sure that they are in the right format they need, capture, collect consent as well, and then trigger different models. Expanding this on to continue on, we can also see that as the users qualify for different segmentation and cohorts based on their criteria, they can be added to audiences and actually have those actions triggered through Tealium functions. So from the data sources, add to an audience, and then go to multiple destinations, as well as any of these functions with a different model in each function. Before we take a look into what the function looks like, I'm going to show you a quick demo of how you're able to see two different AI models happen at once. I'm going to start a new trace, and trace is Tealium's debugging tool to essentially be able to see what's happening in real time as customers engaging with your mobile apps or your websites. On the right-hand side, I am entering in just an email address to sign in Alice to her mobile app, to her account, and also the trace ID so that we'll be able to track her journey as she goes through it. Okay. So you'll notice immediately as soon as Alice signs into the mobile app, we're having a lot of data be collected. This is where Tealium is really collecting all of the data that we currently have on Alice. We can see that she's recently completed an application. She's an account holder. Has provided consent for multiple different purposes. as well as other information as well about our customer profile. And we can see that as soon as she signed into her mobile app, we have known identifiers about her. Now, for this demo, we're going to see what happens when she goes to actually activate her credit card that she has. So let's see. Of course, this would have a slight error right here, but here we go. She's ready to activate her credit card. Okay, so as she does this, a few things actually happen, and I'm going to speed this up along the way. So her credit card was activated, and we can see that there are several functions that were triggered. So here we're doing different email hashing, but also there's going to be functions where to essentially be able to check for fraud, to see if fraud happened. This is done through one of the Invoke Your Own models to be able to trigger any workflows that you have, such as within Snowflake for building out a combination of machine learning and AI to be able to have your pipeline. This will be another layer on top. And sure enough, we see the results of the fraud detection. We can see that based on the visitor profile that we passed over to Snowflake into a Cortex model that we have fine-tuned, that she has a low risk of fraud based on her activity within the app. So this is another layer of activation and a simple, quick, easy way to be able to invoke the fraud detection models and the fraud detection pipeline. Now, and also, especially for fraud detection, we can see here that as we scroll down, we can see that within her that she has other attributes as well. The card was activated in the afternoon and has really a low fraud risk. So we don't need to, so we can continue on, and these attributes and her statuses are continue to be stored in her visitor profile. And this way it can be activated again downstream to your customer 360 for long-term use and analytics. Continuing on, now that she's activated her credit card, she might also decide that she's going to try to get different information. Okay, so now when she clicks through, as she continues to click through, we can see that she has her credit card activated. And from here, you're essentially able to do additional functions, such as being able to layer on different promotions or anything else along those lines, really making it easy to be able to continuously call and invoke your own model functions throughout the customer journey. Taking a step back, let's see what the actual functions look like. So what we saw was that as Alice was using the mobile app and also clicked to activate her credit card, she was added to an audience to be able to process the credit card activation, and then from there be able to call a function as well to really be able to make sure that she is the correct person to be able to apply it. Let's take a look at what those functions look like when they're evoked. In Tealium functions, so these are the server-side functions that I mentioned, you can essentially have multiple different functions to trigger different models that you have running across any of your data clouds. So here we have some that occur both by calling out to Snowflake and Databricks, as well as one for AWS SageMaker as well. So taking a look at what we have, for example, for the fraud detection, this one is as simple as being able to break down the customer profile and be able to specifically label different pieces of information so that way it's ready as features and also easily able to be understood by the model as to what the model is receiving as input. We can take a look at the sample payloads where you have an ability to run different tests. So for example, as we saw here in the demo, the fraud risk was actually low, and we can simulate that by supplying a visitor profile, and we can proceed. We can also be able to capture the other end to detect when a fraud risk may be high, and if we run this test, we can see that it has block and review to instantly be able to shut down their access and any other operations you have on your end. Now within Tealium functions and be able to prepare the data for your models and send them, you're also able to use our global variables to be able to securely store any account details, and also use authentication such as through OAuth 2.0, PAT tokens, and any other API tokens that you need to supply in order to correctly authenticate to your model. As well, so in this example, we're essentially calling a user-defined function in Snowflake, but the same thing can be true for the point of entry in your model. And down here at the bottom, we can see that Tealium, as soon as this happens, you're able to receive the response back and fire off a new Tealium event. So this way, it'll go back to the Tealium collect endpoint and be stitched to the visitor profile and be able to influence the entire experience. In addition to fraud, we also support many different use cases, such as for account recommendations. So here, once again, pulling out key pieces of information or being able to send everything. And note that you don't need to send PII, especially if your model endpoint does not have the ability to separate out PII from what's allowed to send to the model. So when sending, once again, through to a Snowflake model to evaluate the visitor profile and different attributes to see what type of product they should be recommended next, we can then be able to send the visitor data to the model, and then all the behavioral attributes, customer attributes, current session activity, and even a summary of the current session, and then be able to add back on any PII for stitching and associating with the visitor at the end. And once again, just like we did before, you're being able to run different tests to evaluate the actual ability for the model to run and produce a response. So Tealium has this full testing environment to make sure that everything that you're passing and everything that you're doing as you evaluate with trace beforehand is ready to fully have your model launch into production in a simple pipeline made possible by Tealium in real time. Quick notes on configuration. So when does this fire? The trigger for any functions can be on any audience or segment. So anytime there's a key action or important actions that would qualify a user to have a model rerun, you can do it there. So for here, especially if there's an active contact center caller, right before they call in or right before they engage in chat, instantly be able to support, to use Invoke your own model to summarize their session, provide key insights, and then activate that downstream to the contact center for a personalized experience. And as well, especially for authentication, you can always be sure to apply authentication to make sure that it proceeds with everything that you need, including support for private link if that's required. So that's a quick preview of Invoke your own model and how you're really being able to collect data with Tealium, transform it, activate it in different experiences, and then trigger at key moments for real-time inferencing to get back updated responses and continue on with a hyper-personalized customer journey. As a follow-up, we do have, so if you're interested in finding out more about Invoke your own model and how it applies to more than just Snowflake, but also for Databricks, AWS, GCP, Azure, and as well as if you had more questions about what you saw here today, please join us at our Tealium's Digital Velocity Conference held in New York City. It will be held from April 27th to 29th at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square. And this is going to be a great conference to understand more about how you can be able to activate AI experiences across your tech stack, and as well as be able to hear live from our current customers and our partners about all different technical use cases and really expanding data personalization and the future of the customer experience. You can scan on this link that's attached here to be able to have a complimentary pass for today's attendees. So I hope to see you there. Thank you for joining, and especially if you join at DB, please make sure to say hi, and I'd be happy to discuss more in depth any of the concepts from today and any additional thoughts that you might have and your data science teams might be experiencing to see if we can get some of your models live and in production. I'm Sarah Smith, and thank you again for joining.